Tá dando aquele gosto do sol. Quer saber qual vai ser a ordem da gente, né?
Sim, a gente eu vou subir, fazer uns agradecimentos. Tá, a gente vai... Tá me ouvindo? Tá, a gente vai subir, fazer uns agradecimentos, Débora vai apresentar todo mundo. Né, vai apresentar você, aí vai falar do livro, aí a Ana vai entrar e vai fazer só uma cantiga assim, leve. Quando ela sair do palco, você pode entrar já com a primeira da lista aí. Tá bom? Vai ser fácil, porque toda vez que ela terminar, ela vai sair do palco.
Eu só vou fazer o seguinte, essa primeira vez que eu falar, só para começar a chamar.
Sim, claro. Tá bom. Tá, maravilha. A gente vai ter que fazer o seguinte.
Aqui estamos live.
Um segundo, vai gravar. Deixa esse aí, bem, vamos usar outro. Monicucha? Mônica, põe a logo aí pra nós. Alô. Spotify.br. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Oh, thank you so much for coming. It's our last event. So I'm a bit nervous. We're having some technical difficulties, but we figure it out. You know, technology and Mercury retrograde. It's a real thing. Yeah. So for those who don't know me, my name is Andressa Furletti. I'm a multidisciplinary artist and co-founder and artistic director of Group.Br. This is my partner, Deborah Ballardini, actress, director, producer, professor, and co-founder and executive director of Group.Br. So 10 years ago, an actor and director called Carlos Caldarte made a move to bring 10 Brazilian artists together for a reading. That little seed sprouted in my heart and also in the hearts of Deborah Ballardini and Tiago Felix, who kept that dream alive and expanded to do what's our mission today, which is present Brazilian culture in New York through the performing arts. Since 2011, we've presented 4 theater productions, being 3 of them devised works, 2 of them immersive productions, and 1 site-specific. Beyond that, if that wasn't enough, we produced dozens of workshops for actors and non-actors, so if you're interested, keep an eye on it. We also had readings of plays and literary works, online events and parties. Our community grew, patrons became friends, collaborations were formed, couples were formed, artists were inspired to create their own work, dozens of artists found a new audience. And last year, we created the New York Brazilian Artists Fund to help Brazilian artists in New York who were impacted by the pandemic. Those that don't know, for immigrant artists, even if you have your visa, even if you're like total like regular with immigration, depending on your status, you could not have any sort of benefit from the government, you know, the unemployment, or like what was the name of the check? Or, you know, like those checks people got. The stimulus check. So it was really, really hard for immigrants. So we created this initiative. We already supported 12 artists, and we still have more 17 to go. We do have a QR code, but we were told that QR code is not working. But
Lots of things are not working.
I like that marker. I'm telling you, it's a thing. So if you feel like supporting this initiative, please talk to Deborah. She's the money person of the company. And also, we are in big needs of support as well, because it has been really hard. It has been really hard to capitalize all those like things that we did. The most of them, like this one, were free for the audience. So if you like what we do, if you like supporting, please do. It's tax deductible because we are a nonprofit.
It's worth to say that some people already helped today. And
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for the ones donated today. So I want to take this moment to thank each and every one of you who have been supporting us by donating, coming to our events, volunteering, interacting and sharing our content on social media, talking about the company with your friends, referring more Brazilian artists and events to us, so we keep, you know, finding more people so we can bring them to you. And thanks to every artist who have worked with us, you know, thank you for your talent and your strength. A big shout out to our board of directors, especially Angelica Walker, who's right there, we go, who is not just a big supporter, she's so enthusiastic of the company. She comes to all of our events, she came to all of our readings. She was like present at all of most of our online readings last year. Like it's an honor.
Wonderful.
Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. I would like also to thank Dani Veronese, who's helping us today. Yes, just like to come here. Dani, it's an amazing stylist and
Makeup artist.
yes, makeup artist and hair stylist as well. So if you need someone, if you feel like changing your look a little bit, someone that will give you like the best colors to work with your skin tone, with your hair and all that stuff, She's the one, and
You
like
have her business card.
yes, some business cards in the back.
She does in many events, like
Yes, like see this hair? She worked on a short film with me that she made my hair look like this. It was my natural hair. She does miracles. Yes, it was Clarice's hair. So she does miracles. I cannot recommend her enough. Also, a huge shout out and thank you to Monica Vilela, who has been.
Mila is on the phone, and that's why, so she can hear us.
Yes.
That's why I'm here like her.
She has been our production angel since 2018. And to be here today, all of the others, she had to drive 2.5 hours to get here and 2.5 hours. So like this.
I can relate.
And her son just turned 1 year old. So congratulations. Also, a big thanks to the Consulate General of Brazil for opening the doors for us, so we can host this event here, and especially to Beatriz, who has been helping and supporting and connecting for many years. So like it means the world to us. Thank you very much. And thank you to Rio Bonito, who provide our Guaranás for the night. Oh yes, Fernando also, thank you very much. Sorry, I said I was nervous. And also Andrea, who kindly gifted all of us with this amazing Brazilian treats and sweets. So yes. If you guys need catering to your parties, to your events, or just if you're feeling some good Brazilian food, yes, talk to her. She'll make you happy for sure. Yes, I want to thank my husband for like helping so much and being such a great supporter. He was like helping us with our technical needs right now. So thank you so much. And this event was only possible, firstly and foremost, with the funds from the Creative Engagement, supported by the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with the City Council and the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of Governor Andrew M. Cuomo, and the New York State Legislature and administrated by LNCC. So I'm going to pass the mic to Deborah so she can introduce you to our guests and what we're up to this evening.
Good evening, everybody. So, we have a wonderful lineup today. It means so much, like, to have all these people. I have a history with these two beautiful people here. At least I think in my imagination. And also having Mila here. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction of them, and then we'll get into it. Okay? So we have Carlos de Oliveira right here, which is our who is going to be accompanying Liliana on percussion. Carlos is the founder and executive director of the New Samba School and the Brazilian Council on Samba. He was born and raised in Rio. His work as a musician, percussionist, writer, producer, and community organizer are manifestations of his lifelong love for Afro-Brazilian culture, particularly samba in various iterations. Caco, which is how we call him, Caco performs in the samba, bossa nova, forró, and jazz idioms as a sit-in and recording musician, event producer, and workshop leader. He has played and produced Brazilian music experiences in the iconic New York venues like Cipriani, Griffin, Sabrosa, Bonafide Jazz Club, the Village Underground, Cello, and Havana Central. And he has also presented at the museums and educational institutions, including the American Museum of Natural History, El Museo del Barrio, Brooklyn Museum, Brooklyn Library, Long Island University, Westchester Community College, NYU, Columbia University, and Kingsborough Community College. Kako has performed at the Ford Foundation and for the UN in commemoration of the launch of the global CUFA, Central Única das Favelas. And he's currently producing and organizing the Carnaval do Povo project, which aims towards bringing together Latino adults and youth, Caribbeans, and all organized communities of African descent to celebrate the solstice, exchange culture, and carnival experience. Thank you for being here, Campbell. Remember our jams in the Bronx. Now we have Liliana Araújo, who is going to be interpreting some songs by Dona Ivone Lara. Liliana was born in Ceará in the northeast of Brazil, and she's a singer, a dancer, and researcher of Brazilian folk dance and music. She's a very dynamic and charismatic performer of music, theater, and dance. She studied vocal performance at the Alberto Nepomuceno Conservatory and the UECE, the State University of Ceará. She has performed at various children's educational centers, including Filippo Smaldoni, which is specialized in education of deaf and or hearing impaired children. Since moving to North America in 2007, Liliana has continued highlighting and spreading Brazilian culture through performance and education at schools, universities, festivals, and cultural centers throughout the USA. World Music Institute, Chicago Human Rhythm Project, Musical Instrument Museum, Museum of Modern Art, Brooklyn Academy of Music, American Folk Festival, Hollywood, Palladium, Lincoln Center, Outdoors, and many more big stages. She was the lead singer, where we met, at the renowned band Nation Beat, and of Maracatu, New York, from 2017 to 2013. And her musical partnership with Scott Kettner resulted in many compositions, albums, tours, workshops, and teaching residencies. Liliana has been a teaching artist for Young Audience Arts for Learning, Midori and Friends, Brooklyn Philharmonic, Manhattan New Music Project, Symphony Space, and Hospital Audiences Incorporation. Liliana currently performs as a solo artist. Oh, of course, baby, you can be very close to me. Come close. Now. And then we have Mila Burns.
Yay!
Yay! Wonderful Mila. Right now. Who is going to be reading excerpts from her book, Dona Ivone Lara's Sorriso Negro. Mila is an assistant professor at the Department of Latin America and Latino Studies at Lehman College, CUNY. She is the author of Dona Ivone Lara's Sorriso Negro and Nasci para Sonhar e Cantar, Dona Ivone Lara, a Mulher no Samba. Mila Burns also holds a PhD in history, a master's degree in Latin American studies and social anthropology, and a BA in journalism. Mila is a university professor with an interdisciplinary profile with an emphasis on media, anthropology, and history. For 2 decades, she has worked as a journalist in Brazil and New York, and currently, Mila Burns is editor-in-chief and anchor of American News, a newscast dedicated to the Latinx community broadcast at TV Globo International. Her current book, Manuscript, investigates the Brazilian influence on the military coup d'etat in Chile in 1973. Her articles have been published in several newspapers, magazines, and academic publications. Thank you for being here, Mila.
Thank you.
Oh, that was a marathon.
Almost done.
Almost done. Be good. And then we're gonna just enjoy. Sorriso Negro. So more than simply a paragon of Brazilian samba, Dona, or Lady, Ivone Lara's 1981 Sorriso Negro, translated Black Smile, is an album deeply embedded in the political and social tensions of its time. Released less than 2 years after the Brazilian military dictatorship approved the Lei de Anistia, the opening that put Brazil on a path toward democracy, democratic governance. Sorriso Negro reflects the seminal shifts occurring within Brazil society as former exiles reinforced notions of civil rights and feminism, though thought in a nation under the iron hand of a military dictatorship that had been in place since 1964. By looking at one of the most important samba albums ever recorded, and one that also happened to be authored by a Black woman, Mila Burns explores the path-breaking career of Dona Ivone Lara, tracing the ways in which she navigates the tense gender and race relations of the samba universe to ultimately conquer the masculine world of samba composers. I made sure I read it very much like that so we get all the words. It's hard to talk over a mask. Without further ado, Sorriso Negro.
Can you try with us? É um momento acarinhamento. It's time to give yourself some love. Let's share. Axé.
Hello, everyone. Boa noite. Tudo bem a todos? Espero que todos estejam bem. I hope everyone is well. I really appreciate the invitation for being here. I'm sorry for not being there in person with all of you, but I think at this point we all understand the issues and challenges that we're all facing. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Group.br, Brazilian Consulate. Wow, what a start. So I'll begin reading an excerpt of the book in which I talk about the first song in this beautiful album by Dona Ivone Lara, Sorriso Negro. And the first song is A Sereia de Omar. Dona Ivone Lara's decision to open the album with A Sereia de Omar, the Mermaid de Omar, is deeply related to her admiration of a strong Brazilian woman, Maria Bethânia. They became good friends in 1978 when Bethânia recorded Lara's Sonho Meu, My Dream, with another symbol of baianidade, Gal Costa. The tune became a hit and helped Bethânia's album Alibi sell more than 1 million copies, a first for a woman in the country. It also turned Lara into a celebrity even beyond the samba environment. It all started with a mutual friend, guitar player and composer Rosinha de Valença, who introduced Maria Bethânia to the song Sonho Meu. A few years later, Lara's friendship with Valença would produce more fruits. Valença made the musical arrangements for most of the songs of Sorriso Negro and was the conductor for several of them. Her influence can be heard throughout the album. Born in the city of Valença in the state of Rio de Janeiro, the acoustic guitar player was a prodigy. She was only 12 years old when she began to play in local events. 10 years later, Valença moved to the city of Rio de Janeiro and very soon became a fixture in the legendary Beco das Garrafas, an area full of nightclubs where the most famous musicians in the country performed. There, she met musical producer Aloysio de Oliveira, the director of record label Elenco. Oliveira was so astonished by Valença's talent that he not only invited her to record her first album, Apresentando Rosinha de Valença, Introducing Rosinha de Valença, but also asked her to produce it. It was 1964, and she became respected in a male-dominated environment. Being a woman intensively influenced her playing. In an interview in 1972, she said, and I quote, "I was a woman who needed luck because I was the only one dealing with a huge number of male acoustic guitar players, a bunch of men who were not about to give me a place. I almost had to pull the strings off of the guitar so people would understand that I could play. I don't know how many times did I purposefully play the chords very strongly to wake people up so they would shut up a little and pay attention. When an artist plays, it has to be heard. It does not matter if you're wearing a skirt or a brief."
A sereia Guiomar mora em alto mar. A sereia Guiomar mora em alto mar. Como é bonito, meu Deus, o canto dessa sereia. Como é bonito, meu Deus, a lenda dessa sereia, a lenda dessa sereia. Fascina, e a lenda dessa sereia. Fascina, o canto dessa sereia, meu Deus. Domina o canto dessa sereia, meu Deus. Domina a sereia Guiomar mora em alto mar. A sereia Guiomar mora em alto mar. Como é bonito, meu Deus, a lenda dessa sereia. Como é bonito, meu Deus, a lenda dessa sereia, a lenda dessa sereia. Fascina, é a lenda dessa sereia. Fascina, o canto dessa sereia, meu Deus. Domina o canto dessa sereia, meu Deus. Domina, fala na beira do cais. Manuel pescador seguiu num canto tão lindo, logo se apaixonou. Dizem que em noites de lua ele foi lá encantado com a sereia Guiomar. Flutuar, a sereia Guiomar mora em alto mar. 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 Chora, bandeira! Bora, Carolina! dessa sereia. Fascina o canto dessa sereia. Fascina o canto dessa sereia, meu Deus. Domina o canto dessa sereia, meu Deus. Domina todo o mistério do mar. E causa grande emoção, encantamento e beleza. Toca o meu coração. História de canoeiro, bebe meu sangue nas veias. Quando ele conta a vida da bela sereia. A sereia que ama mora em alto mar. 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 Como é bonito, meu Deus, a lenda dessa sereia. Como é bonito, meu Deus, a lenda dessa sereia. Fascina a lenda dessa sereia. Fascina e o canto dessa sereia, meu Deus. Domina o canto dessa sereia, meu Deus. Domina a madeira do cais. Manuel pescador, ouvindo um canto lindo, logo se apaixonou, seguiu correndo pro mar. Dizem que em noite de lua, envolvido no seu canto, o homem flutua. A sereia que ama mora em alto mar. 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 A sereia que ama, ela mora em alto mar. A sereia que ama, ela mora em alto mar. O canto dessa sereia fascina. O canto dessa sereia fascina. O canto dessa sereia, meu Deus, domina. O canto dessa sereia, meu Deus, domina. Salve, Dona Ivone!
This was so beautiful. Liliana Araújo, Carlos Oliveira interpretando Dona Ivone Lara. Muito emocionante de ouvir isso. I'm very emotional to hear that. I try in the book to argue that although Dona Ivone Lara has never self-identified as a feminist or an activist, many of her songs were and became symbols of the feminist movement in Brazil. This one that we just heard, A Sereia que Ama, is all about female empowerment. And there are many other examples, as I argue. Only in this album we can point to several of them. And another one is Alguém Me Acusou. So I'll read an excerpt about this song now. Although written for Maria Bethânia, the lyrics seem to be autobiographical. Lara states that alguém me avisou para pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Someone told me to step across this floor slowly, which is an expression meaning watch my step, or step carefully, or yet tread lightly. When entering the samba world, juggling the roles expected of a woman in Brazilian society, her full-time job as a social assistant, and the career of a songwriter, Lara smoothly navigated these roles, learning to compartmentalize from a very early age. Pretinho da Serrinha says he made a deal with Lara to open his concerts with Alguém Me Avisou for the rest of his life. Because of their similar origin, the lyrics feel autobiographical for him as well. The charismatic woman we now know as Dona Ivone Lara was born in Rio de Janeiro on April 13, 1921, and registered as Ivone da Silva Lara. Her mother, Emerentina Bento da Silva, worked as a seamstress. According to Lara, she had a very beautiful voice. She was a singer of the rancho Ameno Resedá, but could never fully dedicate herself to music because she needed to make money. Her father, José da Silva Lara, played the 7-string guitar and during Carnival took part in the parades of Bloco dos Africanos, Ameno Resedá, Flor de Abacate, and other groups that took to the streets of Rio de Janeiro during the festivities. When Lara turned 10 years old, she started attending the boarding school Orsina da Fonseca in the neighborhood of Tijuca. She would only leave the school permanently upon reaching adulthood. Lara spent every week there and left every other weekend to visit her family. Among the extracurricular activities were physical education and music. Lara's favorites were volleyball and music theory. The latter, a prestigious subject. The school had a choir, and the girls selected for each received not only the recognition of the others, but also the opportunity to participate in concerts in and outside of the school, at parties, and at events in the city. At home, we've always heard a lot of radio, and I remember songs by Noel Rosa and other composers of the time. But I think the taste for music really started right there in the boarding school, Lara recalls. She had one of the best voices, and her greatest pride was to be a student of Lucília Villa-Lobos. The maestra was married to Heitor Villa-Lobos, considered by many to be Brazil's most celebrated composer of all time. He used to attend the choir presentations to hear classical compositions, including some of his own. Dona Ivone Lara also found inspiration in another teacher at Orsina da Fonseca, Zaida de Oliveira. Oliveira was a classically trained soprano, was part of the Coral Brasileiro, which included among its members the legendary Brazilian opera singer Dudu Sayão. She was most active during the 78 RPM era, from 1924 to 1931, when Oliveira recorded a total of 25 songs. She's considered one of the greatest singers in the country's history. Her experiences, however, also gave Lara some idea of the challenges she would face as a Black woman. In 1921, Oliveira won the competition of the Escola Nacional de Música, the National School of Music, the most prestigious music teaching institution in Rio de Janeiro at that time. Nevertheless, being a Black woman prevented her from collecting the prize, a trip to Europe. In 1932, Oliveira married Donga, the author of the first recorded samba, Pelo Telefone. Lara's songs embody the encounter between samba and classical music. Martinalha, a Brazilian singer, highlights the delicate nature and complexity of her melodies, which have, and I quote, a sort of violin all over them, as if building a second melody, another music inside the music. Even if it's not there, one can hear a full orchestra of violins, with the main one a solo. It has an elegance that makes you pay attention to what her intentions are.
How are you, Brazilian Consulate? We're here to celebrate life, to celebrate Dona Ivone Lara, to celebrate strength, to celebrate Readings.Br, to celebrate reunion. And it's amazing to be here with you guys tonight. Ashe, for who maybe don't know yet, Ashe is blessing, so Ashe. Eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Aí a gente tira o sapato, viu? Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Eu vim de lá, pequenininho eu vim. Mas eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Alguém me devagarinho. Sempre fui obediente, mas não pude resistir. Foi numa roda de samba que juntei meus bambas pra me distrair. Quando eu voltar à Bahia, terei muito o que contar. Ó padrinho, não se zangue, eu nasci no samba, não posso parar. Foram me chamar, eu estou aqui, o que é que há? Foram me chamar, eu estou aqui, o que é que há? Eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Mas eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Eu vim de lá, pequenininho eu vim. Eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Sempre fui obediente, mas não pude resistir. Foi numa roda de samba que juntei as bambas pra me distrair. Quando eu voltar à Bahia, terei muito o que contar. Ó padrinho, não se zangue, eu nasci no samba e não posso parar. Foram me chamar, eu estou aqui, o que é que há? Foram me chamar, eu estou aqui, o que é que há? Foram me chamar, eu estou aqui, o que é que há? Foram me chamar, eu estou aqui, o que é que há? Eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Eu vim de lá, pequenininho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho. Alguém me avisou pra pisar nesse chão devagarinho.
Liliana Araújo, Consulate. I think I'll have to keep repeating their names. This is just too much. I'm really honored to have you. Oh my God, this is really beyond anything I expected. This is really beautiful, and it's beautiful to be honoring Dona Ivone Lara's beautiful songs in this beautiful night. So now I'm going to talk about a little bit about the other part of the album, if I can say so, but another aspect of the album is besides the feminist aspect of it, which is the quest for racial equality in Brazil. Dona Ivone Lara, again, the same way she didn't identify as a feminist, she never identified as part of the Black movement in Brazil. Nevertheless, this one song here that is actually the title of the album became one of the most important songs for this movement, a symbol of the movement. So I'm going to read a little bit about Sorriso Negro. A person unfamiliar with the history of the Catholic Church known as Irmandade Nossa Senhora do Rosário dos Pretos in Salvador, Bahia, would undoubtedly be astonished by the drums and lyrics of its religious hymns. Though one might expect messages of redemption in God's hands, here they talk about Black identity, respect, and pride. a famous song of praise included in the masses every week since it became famous in the voice of Dona Ivone Lara, describes the power of a Black smile and how it is capable of bringing joy to everyone around. The song also suggests that a Black person without a job becomes restless, and it proclaims, Negro é a raiz da liberdade. Black is the root of freedom. In the lyrics, the Portuguese word negro refers sometimes to a Black person, at others to an entire racial category, and at times to the color Black. The song is Sorriso Negro by Adilson Barbado, Jorge Portela, and Jair do Cavaco, immortalized by Dona Ivone Lara. The composers list several reasons why being Black should be a reason to feel pride. The fact that Sorriso Negro is part of the liturgy at celebrations of Nossa Senhora do Rosário dos Pretos is a testament to what a figural symbol it is for the Afro-Brazilian community. During the Mass, the song is played after the priest says, "The peace of the Lord be with you always," to which the community responds, "And with you and with your spirit." Then the priest instructs the congregation, this is a very typical thing in Brazil, to offer each other the sign of peace, but instead of that, we do hug. In Brazilian Catholic churches, it is common for people to hug and kiss at this moment. At Nossa Senhora do Rosário dos Pretos, this is when the song Sorriso Negro starts to play. While greeting other members of the church, they sing the lyrics slowly, clapping at the rhythm of the African drums that compose the church band. In the album Rosário dos Pretos Cânticos, Lara recorded the song with Ileaie, a group founded in 1974 in Salvador that developed as a renowned Bloco Afro, a carnival group that features themes of Black culture and promotes the beauty of Blackness. It is no coincidence that Dona Ivone Lara decided to include the song, which she did not write, on Sorriso Negro and name the album after it. The lyrics state that Blacks are beautiful, inspiring, and should be respected. They also contend that slavery, silence, and mourning are part of Black identity. At times, the lyrics may even seem too simple and straightforward. The opening verses declare that a Black smile or hug has the power to bring happiness to the world, and that negro sem emprego fica sem sossego. A Black person without a job becomes unrested. The clarity of the lyrics, however, should be interpreted as urgency, for it carries the essential aspirations of the Black movement in Brazil: social equality, respect, and an end to racism. Teresa Santos argues that one of the central objectives of the Black movement was to denounce the genocide practiced against Blacks in its different forms: the murders committed by the police, subhuman conditions generated by total lack of access to the most elementary conditions of survival, the sterilization of Black women, the mental genocide practiced through the stigmas and prototypes that destroy Black self-esteem and dignity. I return then to the idea of resistance by existence. Dona Ivone Lara does not engage in political activism, although Sorriso Negro was and still is an instrument of the promotion of Black power. So when I talk about resistance by existence, I mean that merely the fact of her existing and occupying certain places in which traditionally Black women were not necessarily allowed or welcomed in Brazil is already an act of resistance. I don't want to call it activism because she didn't call it that way while alive, and we talked multiple times. She never called herself an activist, but there's no way we cannot call that resistance and really acknowledge the impact of her songs and her actions. She does not directly demand equality, although she influenced several women who came after her to engage in activities that had been until then considered to be exclusively male. The broad concept of intellectual activism, which Patricia Hill Collins defines as the myriad ways that people place the power of their ideas in service to social justice, is hardly applicable in her case. Lara does not talk about social justice. She's merely asserting her identity. Nevertheless, in doing so, she generates a considerable social impact. If, like Teresa Santos, Abdias do Nascimento, and so many other leaders of the Brazilian Black movement have claimed, Afro-Brazilians suffered from the underdevelopment of racial consciousness, her biography addresses this absence. The memory of her achievements is a central part of the forging of the Brazilian Black identity.
Negro é a raiz da liberdade. Negro é a raiz da liberdade. Um sorriso negro, um abraço negro, traz felicidade. Negro sem emprego, fica sem sossego. Negro é a raiz da liberdade. Um abraço negro, um sorriso negro, traz felicidade. Negro sem emprego, fica sem sossego. Negro é a raiz da liberdade. Um sorriso negro, um abraço negro, traz felicidade. Negro sem emprego, fica sem sossego. Negro é a raiz da liberdade. Negro é uma cor de respeito. Negro é inspiração. Negro é silêncio, é luto. Negro é a solidão. Negro que já foi escravo. Negro é a voz da verdade. Negro é destino, é amor. Mas negro também é saudade. Um sorriso negro, um abraço negro, traz felicidade. Negro sem emprego, fica sem sossego. Negro é a raiz da liberdade. Um sorriso negro, um abraço negro, traz felicidade. Negro sem emprego, fica sem sossego. Negro é a raiz da liberdade. Chora, poder! Vamos cá!
Beautiful. And Sorriso Negro was not alone in this seek for racial justice and for addressing Black identity in this album. There were other songs, including Axé de Yanga. We heard in the beginning of the event, Liliana just singing the melody, which opens the song. Hopefully we'll hear a little more. This is one of my favorite songs ever. Another part of this broader transformation can be seen in Axé de Yanga, the last song on Sorriso Negro. Full of references to candomblé, jongo, and to African heritage. The song was composed at a time when Dona Ivone Lara's memory of Africa was more intense than ever. In 1980, she joined over 60 people who, led by Brazilian singer and songwriter Chico Buarque and producer Fernando Faro, traveled to Angola to perform in the May 1st festivities, which marked Workers' Day in both countries, Brazil and Angola. The invitation came from Agostinho Neto, who served as the first president of Angola from 1975 to 1979 and led the popular movement for the liberation of Angola, Angola, in the War of Independence and the Civil War. He was also the country's preeminent poet. The tour was named Projeto Kalunga, Project Kalunga, a Bantu word that refers to a deity related to death, the sea, and hell. Kalunga is present in the folklore of each of the two nations. The newspaper O Globo called the tour the largest musical artistic Brazilian music board, the TAAG, Angola Aérea Transports, among them, Dorival Caymmi, Martinho da Vila, Djavan, Elba Ramalho, Wanda Sá, Geraldo Azevedo, Clara Nunes, Edu Lobo, João do Vale, João Nogueira, and Miúcha. Lara was born in one of the front cities, near Francis Heim and Olivia Heim, filmmaker Rui Terra, and Chico Buarque and his family. It was what singer Djavan called the living room. It is unavoidable then to see a resemblance to Lara's life in the most recent history of Jongo and its quest to adapt so that it might survive. Uniquely, she represented a truly Brazilian individual who connects Africa, Europe, and indigenous cultures. She studied classical music with Lucília Villa-Lobos, but adopted the cavaquinho, tuned as a bandolim, as her primary instrument. She became an icon of popular and Afro-Brazilian traditions by using tools derived from European music. Lara was a Black woman whose great-grandmother was a slave, an enslaved woman. She held within herself this Brazilian blurring of borders between body and mind, sacred and secular, soft and radical.
I will need your help on this one. Are you guys ready to sing a little bit?
Yes.
We have a lot of people already dancing. I hope some more enjoy them. We have some steps to show you, and I would like to see you moving a little bit. So, you guys are gonna say, you're gonna answer me, I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna respond, Didiangame. Didiangame. Can you say?
Didiangame.
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 Good. Oyanga keti poyanga.
Didiangame.
Let me show you the melody, right? Oyanga keti poyanga. Didiangame. Oyanga keti poyanga. Bora melhorar que dá certo. Oyanga keti poyanga. Didiangame. Yanga keti poyanga. Didiangame. Oyanga keti poyanga. Didiangame. Yanga keti poyanga. A felicidade deu aos filhos seus. Aí nessa parte, on this part, you don't have to be the younger male, okay? You're gonna feel it, you're gonna feel it. And I would like to invite you to also stand up. Just because we can, right? So it's very easy what you're gonna do. You're gonna try, right, left, left. Quase forró, né? A música forró, but it's not. Right, and left, and right, and left, and right. I got uma puxadinha. Then you're gonna like drag a little bit. Let's try. Right. Oh, hey. Oyanga keti poyanga. Aha! You forgot your part. Oyanga keti poyanga. Oyanga keti poyanga. Let's put everything together now. Let's try. Slow down. Just a little bit. For now, but then you're gonna speed up. Right, jab. Oi? É? Pode mexer o braço. You can move your arms a little bit. Koyanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Koyanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. So if you don't want to move like side to side, like we're doing, you can be just like feeling the movement, feeling the groove, feeling the rhythm, feeling the music. Koyanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, yanga, kete, koyanga. Koyanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Ele trouxe na sua bunda, ele trouxe na sua bunda, Koyanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Ele trouxe na sua bunda, e a felicidade deu. Filho seu, ninguém mais lamenta e chora, yanga. Yanga, ninguém mais lamenta e chora, yanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Como veio de Angola, com seu mano de José, trouxe cravo, trouxe rosas, pra ofertar filhos de fé. Rezou a ladainha, de Jesus de Nazaré. Oi, yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Oi, yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. One more element. Oi, yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Ele trouxe na sua bunda, ele trouxe na sua bunda, You want that is really enjoying this? A little bit more for you guys. Front, back, and front, back, front, back, front, and back, and front, and front, and koyanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Ele trouxe na sua bunda, ele trouxe na sua bunda, Ninguém mais lamenta e chora, yanga. 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 Eu dei pulos de alegria, ignorei de emoção, quando a Vovó Maria me levando pela mão, disse, filha, vai, yanga, foi a nossa salvação. Oi, yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Oi, yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Ele trouxe na sua bunda, yanga, ele trouxe na sua bunda, ele deu aos filhos seus paz de salvação. Ele deu aos filhos seus paz de salvação. Ninguém mais lamenta e chora, yanga. 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 Das Teresa nos contava as fábulas de vovô, e tirava irmão do tronco, sem o senhor saber, pra curar seus ferimentos com um banho de amor. Oi, yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Yanga, kete, koyanga. Ele trouxe na sua bunda, ele trouxe na sua bunda, ele trouxe na sua bunda, e a felicidade deu aos filhos seus. Ninguém mais lamenta seus ferimentos com um banho de amor. Oi, Yanga, quente, Goianga. Yanga, quente, Goianga. Oi, Yanga, quente, Goianga. Yanga, quente, Goianga. Let's share some love, let's share some love. When we clap, we share love, good energy, a celebration. Keep going. So even talk about that. Yes.
That energy. Louise.
Goianga, quente, Goianga. Goianga, quente, Goianga. Ele nasce na sua música, e a felicidade deu aos filhos seus. Ninguém mais lamenta e Goianga. Goianga, quente, Goianga. Que navio é esse que tá chegando agora? É o navio negreiro com o povo de Angola. Que navio é esse que tá chegando agora? É o navio negreiro com o povo de Angola. Adeus, morena, eu vou embora. Meu coração dentro do meu peito chora. Adeus, morena, eu vou embora. Meu coração dentro do meu peito chora. Oi, Yanga, quente, Goianga. Yanga, quente, Goianga. Oi, Yanga, quente, Goianga. Yanga, quente, Goianga. Ninguém mais lamenta, chora, Yanga. 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 Oi, Yanga, quente, Goianga. Mila Burns! Sorriso Negro! We love you! We love you too! Grupo da BR. Ela misturou inglês com português e um negócio bonitinho. Grupo da BR. Ponto. Prazer imenso. A great pleasure to be here with you guys, celebrating life, celebrating health, celebrating resilience, and I hope to see you again very soon. But that's not the end. I think Deborah is gonna come and have something to share with you guys.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Welcome, yes.
I don't think I'm the best person to talk right now. Because I have like dancing with a mask and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brazilian Consulate, thank you.
Oh my God. What an energy. Like we all needed this. Thank you, Mila. You're there. Thank you so much.
Guys, I just want to let you know that I can't hear anything. The only thing I understand is the melody, and I can guess which song is because of the melodies and because Liliana sings it so deeply from her heart. But I haven't understood one word of what any of you have said during the event. Okay, I have a cell phone connected to me since the beginning because the audio was having issues. There were issues with the audio, so that's how I'm following. So if any of you has said anything about me, if it's a good thing, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If it's a bad thing, we can talk at any time. But I just wanted to say that I deeply appreciate everything that happened tonight in this beautiful place in New York. I feel really blessed for having heard what I've heard, the songs that I've heard, although I couldn't hear the words, that was very powerful. So another round of applause, if possible, for Liliana Araújo and Carlos Oliveira.
Liliana,
If you say something for her, she will not be able to explain.
We're gonna open for some questions if you guys have them.
Now, just so you know, you disconnected me from the phone too, so
Okay, we gotta call her video again. So it's like 1 second, but we're gonna open for questions if you guys have questions for this beautiful performance and also for Mila Burns. Liliana, Kako, would you like to say something before we open the floor?
I want to say hello. Okay. I want to say something. Okay. I want to say something, but it's kind of an invitation for Mila. This year, we are organizing a forum about samba and carnival. A lot of okay.
yes.
On December 3rd and December 4th, we're going to have a virtual forum, part of a Flea Carnival, which is an event that's also part of a Carnival Global Festival. And we are honoring 3 artists from Brazil. One of them is Martinho da Vila. The second one is Nelson Sargento, that was victimized by the COVID, and Januario Garcia, a photographer. So we are honoring 3 men in the first edition of the forum, International Forum. International Forum, Carnaval and Samba International Forum. That's going to happen this year, and we are already organizing the next year. So because this year we are honoring 3 male, so next year we're going to honor 3 female, and one of them is Dona Ivone Lara. And I would like to invite Mila also to not just promote her book, but to open remarks about Dona Ivone Lara, about the importance of women and the samba and carnival culture in Brazil, specifically. And I'm hoping that we're going to get in touch and make this invitation official for 2022, December 2022. We also are creating the International Samba Day. We have the National Samba Day, which is December 2nd. So we're going to make either the 3rd or the 4th International Samba Day. Samba is everywhere in the globe. So we need to, we have a day to celebrate samba.
I didn't understand everything, but I think they're doing 2 events this year and one next year, and the next year they're gonna pay homage to Dona Ivone Lara. Is that it?
Dona Ivone
All
Lara?
my support, whatever I can do, count me in.
Right.
It's really a joy to, whenever I can talk about her, for me it's always a pleasure, and I feel that it's never enough to honor people like her. She deserves all of all the possible homages ever. Like, she's amazing. So I congratulate you for this initiative. This seems amazing, and I hope I can join you this year as well.
It's going to be a pleasure and an honor. The second thing I wanted to say is the pleasure that I have to work with Liliana. Liliana, I remember when she came to New York, working with Scott, promoting Nakatu, which is one of the, I'm a Brazilian cultural researcher. So when I went to Brazil 20 years ago, I used to travel all over Brazil researching rhythm, researching the African influence in terms of instruments and stuff. And when I see someone coming to the United States or anywhere in the world promoting Brazilian culture through musical arts or reading, I call these people ambassadors. We are in the consulate, in Brazilian consulate. We have a cultural ambassador here, I believe, a person officially from the Itamaraty, but all the artists that travel the world promoting the beauty of our culture of Brazil, I call them ambassadors. So you are an ambassador. Oh, I think it's okay.
Questions for Mila?
Yes, I have a question for Mila. I have a question, specific question. Mila, when you were writing your book, what was the most important fact that you want to address in your book? I mean, highlight in your book was the fact that Dona Ivone Lara was a woman that got through the male-dominated culture of a partido alto. I don't know if you noticed that I was basically playing partido alto in the pandeiro. And the samba school core of singers and composers, or the feminist side of her work?
That's such a great question. There's so much to talk about her, right? That she has done so much, and she has contributed to so many different aspects of our music, not only of feminism or the Black movement themselves, but of music itself. I think that we tend to still reproduce some very machista ways of thinking. For instance, I've heard it many times, because this is my second book about her, and it was recently translated into Portuguese too, the second one. The first one was published in Brazil. So I heard multiple times that she was like Tom Jobim wearing skirts, like the female version of Cartola and things like that. And I was like, why do you have to do this kind of comparison to confirm her quality? She is one of the best composers ever to have lived in this planet that we inhabit, and that's it, period. But it seems that we always have to do those comparisons up to this date, right? So I think we're little by little trying to communicate with those things. And I think that I had already written the first book, then I received an invitation to write the second one here. It was not part of my plans. I was working on a very different project at this point. But what I think that really intrigued me the most was precisely this kind of thing that we need to do to explain people like her. So not only that, but also the fact that she never openly engaged in a political movement. And I interviewed her a bunch of times for the first book, and went to her house multiple times. I had a lot of material about her. So I felt like, because she never said that she was an activist. That happened not only to her, but to Elis Regina, for instance. Now there's a book precisely on that about Elis Regina, and another one precisely on that about Gal Costa. But that also happened to Jorge Ben, who sings with her in Sorriso Negro, sings Sorriso Negro with her in the album, which is you expect a certain kind of political activism that has to be open and has to be the very incorporation of what we assume to be a definition of activism as the one that I read. And she didn't do that for whatever reasons. Maybe because she didn't want, maybe because she was occupying a position that was already revolutionary. And she had to cautiously pisar nesse chão devagarinho. She had to step lightly, tread lightly in this area. Otherwise, if she arrived, saying things and calling things as they were, maybe she wouldn't have gotten as far as she did. So whatever her strategy was for that, I think we have an obligation of looking back at her work and understanding how big her contribution was, not only to the musical realm, but to discussions of feminism and Black movement too. And it's funny because after the book was published in Brazil, I also had people telling me that that was a mistake in the book, that I should have called her an activist because she was an activist. But I talked to her multiple times and I asked the question and she didn't identify as such. And she was such a smart, brilliant woman. I couldn't just put words in her mouth. But I really found that we had to address the impact and the amount of the size really of her contribution. So I think if I would point to one thing that I wanted with the book, it was just to also make us look at her for other things besides the music. Looking for her only for the music would be more than enough, don't get me wrong. But I wanted just for us to be able to address other aspects of the brilliant person that she was.
Thank you. Thank you. Look back.
I just would like to say that I feel so honored to be part of this beautiful night with you, Mila, a brilliant mind. And be with all you guys tonight is really very special. And you made time to be here to enjoy life, to hear more about Brazilian culture, to hear more about Dona Ivone Lara, and more about samba. And this means a lot to me. And also being in this territory so Brazilian, that is the Brazilian Consulate, with the doors open wide for our culture. So I just would like to say thank you. Thank you, Mila. Thank you, Caco. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Andressa. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
We have time for a couple of questions because we need to wrap soon.
Who would like to ask a question?
Lounge was supposed to have happened on March 13th. Maybe some of you will remember that because you were invited. And the idea was that it would be a night of samba with Dona Ivone Lara's songs and all that. And that was the day the city closed, March 13th, 2020. So I'll never forget the day the city closed because it was the day of my book launch. So the book launch basically never happened. I did a lot of talks and all that, but the book launch, the way I envisioned it, never happened. So I can't express, honestly, Liliana, in words how emotional I am hearing you and Carlos really interpret her songs, because this is really beyond what I had expected for the launch of the book. So I think that almost 2 years late, I now feel that I have my revenge. Listening to
Anybody would like to ask a question? Concerns, comments?
Where can we buy the book?
Oh, you can buy the book on Amazon. So he's amazing. But I'll
Only Amazon. I go through Mila work and we buy the book.
Yeah,
you know.
Oh, the book is available pretty much everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, the English version anywhere. And it's a publication by Bloomsbury Academic. It's a big press, so you can find it really anywhere. All the online stores have it available, and the version in Portuguese was published in March, I think, last March, by Editora Cobogó in Brazil. It's also available online. I just checked at Amazon. They say that they have only 3 left or something like that. But I always feel like they are just, doing that so that they can buy. So I think they have it available. They have at Amazon. I know it's there. But if you would like to support your local bookstores or smaller bookstores too, it's always a good idea. And it's just a matter of Googling and searching to see. But mostly it is widely available.
We need your autograph.
I will appreciate. All I ask is that if you do read the book, please let me know. Check me, reach out via email, Instagram, let me know your thoughts, because it really matters for us scholars to have this exchange, including pointing to things that you think could be addressed otherwise or whatever. Thank you so much.
We will have it. We have a comment right here.
Thank you so much for this night. I'm celebrating my life today because I just figured out I don't have a cancer today. Thank you. Agora me chamar. Eu estou aqui.
Tá tudo bem.
Let's celebrate life every day, every single minute, every single moment. That's the most important thing to life is celebrate. Life is so short. You gotta celebrate every single moment. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Viva Dona Ivone! Viva Mila!
All right.
Menina.
Does anybody have any more questions or comments? I guess this is that. Thank you so much for sharing that one. So great. I guess we are done. Oh my God. Like in Brazil, we have the saying that everything ends in samba. We had to do the last reading in samba.
Yeah. Yes.
So thank you again, Mila, for your amazing contribution always, and mostly today with your beautiful writing and ideas and thoughts and everything that you represent to us in the Brazilian community. So it's very special. Caco, thank you so much. I know you for so many years. And I'm so happy that we get to share this moment together. Liliana, the same way. Thank you so much. We finally get to be on the same place together. That's wonderful. Well, we thank so many people already. Please consider yourself thanked. And I believe we might have a little bit more wine back there. I'm not sure because, while we were watching, we were. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. I don't know.
Só parar.